everybody, welcome back to another amazing episode of Nerdy Jock Media presents the Dragon Ball Daima podcast, episode 2, Gloria. We are so glad to have you guys. My name is Kevin Ketchum, aka the Nerdy Jock, and this is my co-host on this show, DK, aka the Dragon Ball Guru.
Yep, and we actually just like last week, we just finished watching episode 2 right now.
And it was awesome. Really cool.
We're coming in hot.
We're coming in hot.
We're coming in hot. This episode, more setup, more exposition, also a little bit more world building.
Yeah, it's great because the first one was just we were excited to see what's going on. We had the flashbacks of Majin Buu and all that. And this is really more, hey, we're going to go forward with Daima.
Right. Yeah. The first episode, it was just there was excitement because it didn't suck and because it looked good. And then this one, it's like, oh, okay, now it's the preamble. Like it echoed a lot of the stuff that we've already talked about between the Saiyan and the Namek saga, where it's like we have a. By the way, this is going to be filled with spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, go to Crunchyroll, watch it right now.
It's available right now. Fridays at 10 a.m. By the way, every week they're releasing them. So there's 20 weeks of this. You're going to get content every week on Friday. That night, we're going to try to edit it and get it out for you as soon as possible.
Right.
Speaking of getting it out for you, just remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on all of our podcasts and Spotify and anywhere you can get a podcast.
Yeah, and if you're listening anywhere else, go to YouTube. It's the premiere experience.
That's where we host.
We've got animation behind us.
I know.
We've
You'll
got
see some
stills.
cool stuff on the green screen.
Things that we reference appear behind us in real time, like magic. So,
Dragon Ball Daima magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
The original name. Yeah.
Yeah. So you already said it right off the bat. You really like this episode.
I like it. Okay. So was it as good if you're going to compare with episode 1? Was it as good? I would say probably not. But this was a great episode because it was funny. It was full of laughs. It really caught the joy and excitement that you get when you're watching even the original Dragon Ball back in the day. This is kind of like a flashback. Not only going back in size, I feel like we're going back in time a little bit too. We get some great interactions with Bulma, making fun of Krillin at the very beginning because they all realize they're all very small. And, Bulma makes fun of Krillin saying, oh, well, you were always small anyway. He's like, oh, man, don't remind me of that. So just a fun little flashback to the olden days as well. And you get a lot of really good memory moments. And we'll talk about more memory moments later on with Nuevo. Yeah, sorry, hard to pronounce that one. But.
Well, Toriyama, from the point when he started doing Super, he was already trying to make Dragon Ball like silly and funny again.
Exactly.
Which people had mixed feelings about. Like a lot of people were like, wait, why is he stupid now? Why is he dumb? Like, why is he so silly and stuff like that? But that kind of vibe definitely works better for a younger Goku.
Yeah.
Which might have been one of the reasons why he was like, well, why don't we take the premise from GT where he becomes a kid again? And then it will fit a little bit because this Daima Goku acts like Super Goku.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he acts like Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z Goku. It's very much Super Goku.
Right.
But it really fits this version of Goku who is first grade age, which in the canon, this is the youngest Goku we've ever had just as part of the main story because I believe he was 11 or 12 in Dragon Ball. So.
But of course, they are smaller and they're shorter until they hit like 15 or 16 and they grow.
And they just sprout up super quick.
But it's funny that you said that. It reminds me of a Super Goku. But the great thing about that is you're right. And you could tell Toriyama did. They did go back towards Dragon Ball or just more goofy, a little more fun, lot more antics going on screen. But remember, like the one thing about Goku that really is reflected in his new size is that he's always had this kind of, he's always been a kind of aloof or had I wouldn't say goofball personality, but very innocent, very fun, very childlike, nature. Like that his nature is childlike.
Yeah. Like just a very, I guess, pure is the word that Toriyama would use. I mean, even, he wasn't incensed at all that Master Roshi was using the Noibo as a laundry pole. He just says it like matter of factly. It's like, oh, where was your Noibo? So, Master Roshi was using it for laundry.
Yeah, so later on in the episode, because we're kind of just skipping ahead, and this is live reaction, so we're going to just be going all over. So I'd say definitely check it out yourself and come back to us.
But this isn't going to be beat by beat analysis. We're just going to be talking about our thoughts about it as they occur to us. So
we did notice that. So basically, at the very beginning, though, something that we do need to talk about that I thought was a very interesting point was that, evidently we find out, which is kind of a little plot twist here, that not all 3 wishes were granted by by Shenron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of huge.
Yeah. So my question was, I don't remember in anywhere in the canon if a first timer made a wish and then like the other wishes were granted. I mean, for me, like most of my knowledge of Dragon Ball Z, was apparent on the podcast, are Saiyan and Namek saga. Outside of that, I'm not as well versed because I haven't seen the stuff that's come after as much. But I always thought that when Dende remade the Earth Dragon Balls, he made them able to grant 2 wishes.
Right.
I thought it was in between Shenron and Purunga, but then at the beginning of Daima, it says that he can grant 3, and I'm like, I don't remember that. Was that a mistake? Because or was it, or am I mistaken or whatever? But like you said, now we have some Shenron lore.
So little like a little canon twist. We don't know if it's real. You know, they're kind of switching things up as we go. We saw a little bit of that last episode with a couple canon tweaks there too.
Yeah.
But this one is pretty significant because he's like, you basically, if you're a Dragon Ball user, he knows you. You guys are friendly and familiar. If you're a Dragon Ball user, you basically get your frequent user pass.
Right.
So if you're a first timer, you only get 1 wish. But if you're a regular Dragon Ball user, let's do 2, let's do 3. You know, it's kind of flippant in the retconning of the use of Dragon Balls. I mean, after last week's episode with Neva, how he was able to make the Dragon Balls reappear after only being 6 months since last use.
Right.
So that was a retcon, and then we have another retcon here about the Dragon Ball. So in the next 5 months, you're going to see that Dragon Balls. We're just going to have every week you can have Dragon Ball Wish, I assume.
Yeah. And a commenter on our last video pointed out how there is sort of deeper lore that we're not aware of about the Kaioshins and the Namekiens coming from the demon realm, and this is something that people who know the deeper lore of Dragon Ball probably already know. Maybe this is something that occurred later in Super in the manga, because I know that there were more Namekian things happening there, so maybe it was established then, and that's sort of the basis of this. But some more sort of like deeper, I don't know if it's retconning or what, is that like Piccolo has like a encyclopedic knowledge of the demon realm and why the Namekians left. He's well aware that Namekians are from the demon realm, that they left, and all this stuff. And
DK, I think you can easily write that one off, right? So Piccolo does describe about, I think Kibito does too, right? They both start talking about it, and we find out through both of them that basically the Majins are all from the demon realm, which Majin means what? Demon.
Yeah.
In Japanese, and they were all basically, they had free access. Open border policy. You could just come right in, leave the demon world, come and go as you please. And then too many demons, started populating other universes.
Yeah.
So all the other universes.
There's like a mass migration. It reminded me of like the backstory of A Song of Ice and Fire, the Game of Thrones books, where it's like, just a bunch of people left Essos at one time, and then eventually, well, I guess, the borders weren't closed, but in this case, the demon realm just closed its borders and stopped people from leaving. So.
Right, and it's funny because maybe once we get into the demon world, we'll learn more lore about the parallels between those in the demon realm, because you see there's good guys, there's the Kaioshins, the Supreme Kai, like they were just demons, I'm assuming, and then when they left, then they grew just like Goku and all of our other characters. All of our Dragon Ball Z have grown into being stronger and better people. But like you see, Demon King Piccolo, he was evil.
Right.
So like you're gonna see a mix of good natured villain or bad natured villains and good natured characters as well. So I'm really interested to see if they explain the demon realm a little bit more, which I'm sure they will, because they're gonna meet people like Gloria, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes here. But they're going to meet a host of villains, but they're also going to meet a lot of, hopefully, allies along the way.
Yeah, and with Piccolo, though, I don't know that I'm going to let it slide. Because we talked last week about how this occurs right after Boo.
Right.
Like maybe a day later. It's like Boo gets defeated, and now we're at Trunks' birthday party, whatever. Piccolo didn't know who Dabura was in Z. Piccolo didn't even know where he came from. He didn't even know his own name. He's that famous line when he fuses with Kami, when he says, "I am neither Piccolo nor Kami. I'm a Namekian who came here and forgot his name long ago." He doesn't know his origin. How the hell does he know about the demon realm and about why Namekians left and stuff like that? It's like a huge exposition dump that he would not have access to if he doesn't even know who he is.
Look, DK, great point. But I'm going to actually throw a curveball here because I think you just mentioned it. Piccolo fused with Kami, he was the ruler of Earth for hundreds of years.
Yes.
For a very long time. He knows a lot more. Piccolo just doesn't talk. He's just not a big talker. He's one of those wise guys who's like, do I even need to worry about this? If it's not pertinent to training or raising up Pan, as Gohan's uncle, stuff like that. Like, if it doesn't really pertain to his life in the moment, I don't think he just sweats it. He's got so much going on. He's got Nail fused with him. He's got Kami.
We're in agreement here.
Okay.
My contention is, how does he have random access memory to ancient Namekian knowledge that he didn't have access to before, because all he cared about was A, is Kami ruling the world, and B, Piccolo ruling the world, but like evilly and training and getting stronger and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, maybe he's like it's like the Matrix, where it's like, hey, you have access to all information, but you don't want to overload your brain at once. You just want to kind of let it slowly percolate. That's my retcon theory of the day that works. Not retcon, really.
I could see somebody making the argument that Kami had knowledge of the broader universe because he brought Goku to Yama to train with King Kai.
Right.
So he knew about the Kais. And he also knew about the Kaioshin, because obviously when he meets Kaioshin at the Tenkaichi Budokai, he's like freaked out by him. It's like, oh man, there's like something about this guy that I feel is off or weird or whatever. Like, he recognized him, and then he was able to identify who Kaioshin was later. So he has some knowledge of the universe in Buu, which would make sense, but I don't know. The demon realm thing, I think it's a stretch. I think that if we're going to exposition dump, it would be interesting. It would be an interesting want for Piccolo to be like, well, this could be how I learn about myself, because there are so many holes in my memory from before I split to when I came back together and all this stuff. Like, and there's this elder Namekian named Neva in the demon realm who would know all of this stuff. Yeah. It's like, he's like, I always knew I was a demon, but then I learned I was an alien. I didn't know I was a demon anymore, but now I know that I'm both an alien and a demon. Yeah. I mean, it's just holes to plug. But yeah, like this episode again, set up world building and exposition dumps all around. I don't think that I loved the Piccolo one, because to me, like in my mind, there's too much discordance with what's come before. But hey, it's a classic thing in Dragon Ball. Right. Like, it's a joke where like sort of things get retconned, canon gets rearranged or whatever. So I don't know. What do you think? Am I?
Let us know. I'm sure you will in the comments. Just speaking of the Piccolo situation again, let's just keep rolling with that, because I have a question for you.
Yeah.
We don't know. So basically, in this episode, we're going to get back to that a little bit here. So Gloria comes down. They're all hanging out at the lookout, Kami's lookout.
Yeah, which they call the temple and the palace.
Yeah.
It's a weird translation on Crunchyroll, but the first time they mention it, they call it the temple, and then they go to the lookout, and it's like, the temple? Yes. We always call it the lookout. And then the second time they called it the palace.
It's like, that's like, well, Daima also, just speaking of, on a related note, means a few things. Yeah. It means evil, it means great, it means, what was the last thing?
Like demon magic?
Demon magic.
Or something, yeah. So
evil, great, demon magic. So that's what Daima could mean.
For those who don't speak Japanese, this is a problem that native speaking Japanese people have with kanji, is that there are multiple ways to read it all the time, and this makes it a nightmare sometimes when you see a person's name just in kanji, because famous example, the swordsman Miyamoto Musashi, another way to read Musashi is Takezo, which is what he was called as a kid, or something like that, so yeah, there are different things, but so Daima has different meanings.
Yeah, but just like they're there in English, like there's different meanings, different spelling, stuff like that as well. What I was about to hit on here was that we see this character. They decide, hey, we got it. They they conveniently found this ship of Supreme Kais, and they said, hey, let's get it. They teleport it back, and they got to work on it because that's going to help them get to the demon realm, right?
Because only ships from the demon realm can traverse back and forth to the demon realm.
And obviously, Bulma's a genius. She will find out the technology to let them do that, I'm sure. But before they get to work, she says it's going to take 10 days to fix. But then this interesting stranger appears out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, and you had a pretty poignant reference for him, or comparison, which as I saw him more, I was like, oh yeah, I feel like
totally, okay. Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
So this character, Glorio, which is the namesake of the episode, Glorio, is a character from the demon realm who we saw in the first episode, who's trying to covertly covertly get Goku's help. And he comes down, he gets out of his little space pod. At first, I thought he was reminiscent of the outfits and the designs of the Galactic Patrol arc and Dragon Ball Super, which he does a little bit. But as soon as he walked out, you see his boots, you see his gun strap on his hip, you see his jacket, and you're like, I'll be damned. That is Han freaking Solo if you've ever seen him.
It does seem like Han Solo was the reference, which is, as you pointed out, we've talked about it before on the pod.
Yep.
One of the first things that got Toriyama noticed was a one-shot parody of Star Wars that he did. So he was a big Star Wars fan.
That's kind of how he got his start in a way.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, he's finally going back to Star Wars. And it's funny because in Star Wars A New Hope, Luke and Obi-Wan, they need a ship. And guess what? Gloria comes down and he is a Han Solo-esque character. We don't know his intentions either because Supreme Kai's like, hey, watch out for him. He could be, we don't know exactly what he's thinking. He looks a little roguish like Han Solo. And he just so happens a ship that can take them to the demon realm.
Right.
So, you know what? We're going to give props to Star Wars, props to Akira Toriyama to throw in a little Star Wars love back in there. And, Gloria is Han Solo for this show.
And speaking of rogues, I think one of my favorite things about this episode in terms of the people being aged backwards was Child Mr. Satan and Child Master Roshi.
And Ox King too, right?
Oh, and Mr. Popo.
Yes.
Mr. Popo with the crazy horns on his head.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, let's get back to Satan and Ox King. But we got to talk about Popo, guys. This is a huge reveal for us, at least for Dragon Ball fans, lifelong Dragon Ball fans.
We have a head and horn reveal for Popo.
I don't think I can ever honestly say I've ever seen Mr. Popo without his turban on, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Ever. And he does, and he has horns. Now, he has pointy ears like Demon Realm ears, but he has the pointy ears like King Yama and those of the other realm.
Yeah.
Which is very reminiscent of Snake Way. We see Goku fall off and he meets, those two crazy characters. Can't remember their name right now.
And he kind of looks more like the traditional Buddhist image of Yama, too. So that's an interesting comparison. I didn't think about that. But yeah, and he also, it's funny because we've talked about before on the pod how he has kind of a weird way of talking in the Japanese version where he kind of speaks in incomplete sentences, but his diction and grammar are perfect as a child.
Yeah,
He's oh yes, Dende was kidnapped and taken to the demon realm.
He has definitely been working on his grammar and grammatical skills. So good job, Mr. Popo. You're spending a lot of time up there. You got to be doing something right. But
he gets dumb with age, but as a child, he's a genius.
But if anyone's watching who might know this that we don't, we consider ourselves pretty well versed in Dragon Ball, but did they ever explain where Mr. Popo came originally from? Because it does make sense to me that he might be otherworldly character because, he works with Kami one-on-one and Kami's good friends with Yama as well. So maybe eventually we'll get a Popo backstory and then maybe he's from the other world.
My idea was that he was always part of the Lookout. That was the sense that I got, that every Kami that comes through there, Popo is just always there. He's like this genie, sort of demon figure, not demon in the Western sense, but like an otherworldly being who is in charge of sort of maintaining the heavenly realm of Earth or something.
Oh, really, Dan? Really, we're gonna go there? Just like a plantation or...
That's not what I said.
Is he the help, Dan?
Well, look. If we want to get into that, no. Gloves off. We're going there. When we first see him, he is watering flowers. He is planting a garden. When Goku first climbs the Nyoibo from Karin's palace all the way up to the tower, he's tending a garden.
I know.
And it's basically just follows Kami around, just like, oh yes, Kami, I'll do whatever you say. So I mean,
yeah, I know. I'm just teasing you guys, but yeah, it's funny because Mr. Popo has a long and storied history with, some racial discrimination, which we actually tackle in an episode of Dragon Ball in our previous pods. Check it out. And we actually go into detail and explain the Japanese version. We're not going to do this now, today, on this pod.
No, we've already covered it, and it's a heated debate.
It's been in the Dragon Ball world forever.
That image in the Western world means something different than it does in the Japanese world. We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
So we are just teasing, but yeah, we love Mr. Popo, and we're excited to learn more backstory about this horns and if he is from the other world.
Yeah. The other major thing that I loved in this episode, and I'm just gonna always come back to this because this is my thing, is that The character designs look fantastic.
So good.
The animation, like, I mean, there wasn't any like battle stuff. You know, this was a budget save episode or whatever. But like when Goku brought the Nyoibo up to the lookout and started swinging it around, I was just like, God, that looked beautiful.
Yeah,
it looked so good. Like I cannot wait for these Nyoibo. Like now I have like a New Jersey accent. Can't wait for this Nyoibo like fight scenes later when he goes to the demon realm, which it feels like based on the very short preview that we got at the end that we're gonna be there next episode.
You know, speaking of the Nyoibo and Dragon Ball, you know, and going back to the history of Dragon Ball, and this was kind of made as a 40th anniversary kind of spectacular, just to go over all of Dragon Ball. So when we talk about the Nyoibo, it was a really cool scene. So Goku does a side quest in this episode to get his Nyoibo because his body being small, he still is, you know, all the powers. Essentially, we don't know yet, which we're going to talk about in a second here, is maybe he has all the powers and abilities yet, he just doesn't know how to use his body. So he
kind of like when Ginyu took his body and didn't know what to do with his body. Yeah.
Actually, that's a direct one-to-one great comparison there, DK, because he had to learn how to use the body and he's trying to use it now. But instead, he says, you know what? Let's get some help. Let's get that power pole to extend so I can reach a little further and do my attacks better. And it was just cool to see, you know, Goku has a really great moment with Bulma, and he brings up to Bulma and is like, oh, my Nyoibo. And so if you're like us and you've seen Dragon Ball back in the day, you're like, oh man, it just brings back all the memories of them going on adventures together and just, you know, Bulma and Goku again. It was kind of great. And that was just one little second, but I was like, oh man. And it brought back the feels. Like this episode was fine. This episode was fine. It was set up, it was exposition or whatever. If I had any critique, I would say like I could do for some more like little twists or whatever. Like they kind of like, you know, at the end of the Saiyan saga, there's all this hope like, wait, we can get to Namek because we still have Nappa's ship here. And they're in the hospital and Bulma's like, look, I've got the remote control, and then she blows it up. So it's like a big like butt, you know, like I talk about butts and therefores a lot. Like, and stuff like that. But then Popo shows up. He's like, well, Kami has a ship too, or whatever. And it's like, I felt like there was almost that in this episode, but now it's just that there's two ships. It's like, okay, we're waiting. We're talking, we're doing exposition dumps. But then some other guy shows up and he's like, well, I also have a ship, so we can just leave right now and everybody else can just come later or something. Han Solo, Gloria. But this is interesting. So now we're getting some setup for the future here. All right. So we know Goku is leaving with Glorio and Supreme Kai. And we see that in the trailer. You see a lot of action with those three characters kind of adventuring in the demon realm at first.
Yeah.
Now, if we get one more ship, it looks a little bit bigger than Glorio, so maybe he can hold more characters. Do you think, I mean, Piccolo has obviously got to go to the demon realm, right?
He's got to. I mean, like I said earlier, that's what I would want. I would want his story in Daima to be a discovery of his past.
Yeah, I mean, even from a writing perspective, that's probably the safest route to go because obviously we already know Piccolo has an encyclopedic memory and he can magically remember stuff he didn't know about. We get that. You know, we look past that kind of plot holes. It's whatever. But it will be a great moment for Piccolo to see even more in his past. We saw Namek and the Frieza saga and got to spend literally the whole saga there. Mm-hmm. And now it'll be interesting to see where the history goes even before Namek. You know, the demon realm and the origins of the demon world.
Yeah, and I mean, you were talking a second ago about what powers Goku doesn't have as a kid. Yeah. Apparently, he doesn't have instant transmission anymore.
Yes,
because Kibito was sort of like their Uber Eats driver. He was like here, use your teleportation, get food, get this, get that, teleport us back and forth.
Yeah, and Bulma, she was savage. She was ordering his ass around.
Yeah, but Goku, because he couldn't fly, because he's not used to using his power in his body, had to use Nimbus or Kintoon, if you will. Yeah,
he didn't use Nimbus.
Oh, he didn't. No, you're right.
Because I was like, he should, because we already got the throwback with the power pole / Nyoibo, and I was like, dude, you know how great it'd be if he just said, you know, come here, Nimbus, and just called his Nimbus and just flew away on that.
Right.
Super cool.
I would have loved if there had been a thing where as they age down, they just do not have access to the same well of power.
Right.
They he doesn't know Bukujutsu anymore, so he can't fly, can't go Super Saiyan. So he fully has to be like, oh man, all the things that I've been used to for the last 20 years, I no longer have at my disposal. Now I have to learn how to use this body and like do everything, and like I have to use Nimbus, I have to use the Nyoibo all over again, because it's kind of like in the middle right now. It's kind of split. It's like he kind of can do some stuff and he kind of can't do other stuff. And I feel like it would be a great disadvantage to have a first grader in the demon realm who doesn't know how to use his own power. It would almost be like a Gohan arc. It's like he has to discover how to like bring his power out because he just doesn't know, you know? I mean, it would have been great, but I don't know.
Maybe you're right. You know, we haven't seen that yet, though, D.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Right now, it seems like in the middle, like it doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know, like, does he have his powers? Does he not? In the intro, beautifully animated intro we finally got to see in this episode.
But he is Super Saiyan.
He does go Super Saiyan, yeah. So
maybe it's a slow progression as they go to the demon realm and the plot starts to thicken. Maybe, you know, he starts unlocking some of his abilities that he's had before. I mean, they're not going to make a Dragon Ball Daima show or a brand new Dragon Ball show where no one goes Super Saiyan, right? Like that's a staple, you know?
So question for you.
Yeah.
If you were in the Dragon Ball Z world, if you were one of these people and you had, you know, you were de-aged as a kid, wouldn't this give you sort of carte blanche to just try to go into the room of spirit and time as much as possible and then just age to an adult again, but like have 30 years of training under your belt?
God, you know, I never even thought about that until right now. So it's like, and it's like 1 day is 1 year. And it's like, dude,
Spend 2 weeks and then you're a teenager, you're still in the prime of your life, but you know, you've had 14 years of training. Right. Oh wait, but there's a limit. I forgot. You can only go in 3 times total in your whole life.
Yeah, you can't go to that's a good thank God.
Never mind.
We're about to get destroyed by everyone on YouTube here.
Somebody's like typing super fast already, and this is like,
we forgot. Sorry about that. But I'll tell you why that doesn't matter anyway. I think it's a great concept. But remember, Saiyans don't age like normal humans do anyway.
Right.
So they're gonna look like they're 30 years old probably for the next 50 years.
Right. Well, I mean, like now that everybody is the same age, I feel like if I were sort of a third tier character, someone who's kind of pushed off to the side, like a Tenshin Han or Chaozu or Yamcha or even a Mr. Satan, I'd be like, this is my chance. Yeah. Like let me get inside the gravity chamber, you know, that Bulma invented, and let me like train up to be as strong as these people.
I'd say let's go for it. Let's see. Like I do really hope that they do spend a lot of time back on Earth with the characters who don't go, because like if Krillin's left out, if Krillin, you know, our guy Krillin, if Krillin's left out, then I'll be a little frustrated because I love Krillin. He's one of my favorite characters.
And like, what's Master Roshi about to do? He's a first grader and he's about to go on a tear. He's like in a pimp suit and stuff. Yeah, he's about to just go off, and it's like, oh man, what's this gonna be? Like this little kid just macking on all these like women and stuff.
He's gonna go to like the kindergarten or the first grade and hit on his teacher.
He's
gonna pretend to be a kid again.
I was worried. It's like he's not gonna like hit on kids who like look his age, right? Like hopefully,
hit on his teacher. I hope that would be him, but it's Master Roshi. So with him, you guys know.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
But it would be funny to see if Kami recruits like Krillin to come like help him like work on his game or something like that. Like I don't know. I doubt he's gonna be involved in the fighting. Maybe he's babysitting, like Krillin babysitting. You know, Trunks and Goten a lot would be something funny like that. And it was just cool to actually see like a young Ox King and his little, you know, chibi Ox King and Mr. Satan. You know, I've never been a Mr. Satan fan or character, but he had a couple good lines in here as well. And it's just fun to see some difference and variation than what we have in the past.
Right. So here's a fun thing that I thought of too, because my mind always goes to like the side and all these little tangents when I'm watching these things about the larger world.
Right.
And I was thinking about that moment in Super when Goku goes and he meets Android 17 and they're sitting around the campfire and they're just talking about what their lives have been like and how he's married and he has kids and stuff like that. And it would have been funny if he'd been like, oh yeah, and also like 5 years ago, randomly, I like turned into a kid for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But then I remembered like that wouldn't happen because Android 17 did not save the world.
Right.
So he hasn't been de-aged.
Exactly.
So somewhere out there, he's like meeting the love of his life. He's like becoming a ranger, you know, protecting animals or whatever. Whereas like his sister, unbeknownst to him, is now like a child.
Right. Yeah. I mean, good point there too, because it was funny in this episode. They noticed the catering staff that was hired for Trunks' birthday party was they were all, you know, middle-aged people or, you know, in their 20s, 30s. You could tell they weren't de-aged, they weren't babyized.
Right.
So I wonder if there's any like the Android 17, or I wonder if there's any other people that are like main or side characters who didn't get de-aged, because we didn't see. There's a lot of characters we haven't seen yet in this series that haven't been de-aged, or we don't know if they have or not. Because how involved did they have to be with the fight with Boo? You know?
That was my next question. How broadly does that wish apply? Because Chaozu didn't help with Boo.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Chaozu didn't even help with the Saiyans.
Yeah,
like, really?
exactly. Yeah,
I mean, he didn't do anything. He blew up and nothing happened.
He got Tien mad, but that didn't really help either.
Yeah. So, like, why is he de-aged? You know, like...
I don't know. Yeah, Chaozu always looks like he's in first grade, you know?
True, yeah.
5-year-old. So
he's just perpetually a first grader, yeah.
So I guess if you're just a cool character in the plot, they're going to de-age it just for fun.
But hey, I will say, wrapping up, that episode 3, I'm excited to get to the Demon Realm to see what the actual plot is going to be. I'm giving this some grace because it looks gorgeous. It's like, okay, there's some setup, but Dragon Ball Z's always had exposition and setup, whatever. Like, let's just get to the Demon Realm in episode 3. Let's see what's going to happen. And I really don't know, because there's also this other thing that we didn't talk about. Well, I'll say it right for the end, that Goma is the king of, like, the third demon world or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
And Glorio is a servant of, like, another king of another part of the demon world.
Or as we are now going to call him, Han Glorio.
Yeah, Han Glorio.
Not Han Solo, Han Glorio.
Yeah, Han Glorio, yeah.
So that's one thing, good point we didn't mention. Is like, what is that? I thought at first, I asked Dan, I was like, are they talking about Goma being the Demon King? But I don't think he works for him. Han Glorio works for someone else, right?
Yes.
The real Demon King, you think? Or
perhaps, yeah. I mean, yeah, it flew by so quick, and when we do these pods, we want these to be like an organic reaction. Like, if we don't want to be like encyclopedias about the episode. It's like we want to just be like, wait, is that what happened or whatever? Yeah. That's what it seems like it is. It seems like Goma is a king of a part of the demon world, and Glorio works for someone else.
Okay, that does make sense. But that's what's so exciting, right? This whole show, question marks. We don't know what's going to happen. We haven't seen the Demon Realm besides trailers, and it's exciting to see where it goes from here.
My prediction, Kaioshin is obviously wary of Glorio. I'm a bit too. Right. I wonder if Glorio is using Goku to try to get the Demon Realm Dragon Balls for his boss or whatever, and that there's going to be a betrayal at some point.
Well, we did hear earlier in this episode, Goma was talking to Neva about he has to fight the Tamagami to get access to the Dragon Balls.
Right.
So obviously we know Goku and crew is going to have to fight the Tamagami to, hopefully I said that right. It might be something a little different, but Tamagami.
It's pronounced Tamagotchi, Kevin.
I know. We all had a Tamagotchi back in my day. No. But if they fight the Tamagami, and then they can get the Dragon Ball. So we know we've got some great action coming in the future.
Right. And it would be cool. I mean, like Namek was great because people were stranded on an alien world. It would be cool if there was a betrayal early enough where now Goku is stranded in the Demon Realm. He's not just there, he's stranded there, and he has to fight his way literally out. Yeah. Because there's no plot to really foil because Goma didn't get his other wishes.
Right.
So it's not like there's like an evil thing happening. It was an all right joke. I kind of wish that he had gotten his other wishes because I want some resistance. It's like what are they fighting against or whatever. But it might be a story about being stranded. It's also a rescue story because Dende is there.
Exactly. So it's just an adventure. It's a great adventure, like the new intro song. What did you think about the new intro for the show? Now we saw the full. I don't think the first one had that.
No. Yeah, they played the song at the very end, but they didn't play the whole thing. Yeah, it's a fun song.
Fun.
Yeah,
chill.
The animation was great. Yeah, like it's fine. It's fine.
It's catchy. It was fine. It was fun.
I think it's called John or something.
Yeah, just like the episode. Episode 2, Glorio. Overall impressions, I give it a B. It was fun. It wasn't as action-packed and exciting as episode 1, but we're excited to see where it goes from here.
I'll give it a C+. I have one more thought. I've been saving this. I forgot about this.
I'm generous. I'm not going to lie. I'm just super generous.
Yeah, no. C plus is fine. It's fine. Yeah, it passed.
It passed.
So in the last episode, both Kevin and I were gushing about the new animation staff and how everything looked, especially the flashback sequences, how they matched the styles of both the end of Dragon Ball era and the Buu era. And there is a reason for that. And you brought up Dragon Ball Super Hero, which was the key to unlocking this. So the guy responsible for that section in Dragon Ball Super superhero. His name is Chigashi Kobuto.
Yes.
And he is an animator who is like, he's like us if we could animate. He's just a super Dragon Ball nerd. His life dream is to remake the whole show in the style of the manga.
Goosebumps, brother.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like, he loves it. He was responsible for that scene. He advocated, like, we need a 2D section in the CG movie. Let's do it. And he was the guy responsible for that beautiful opening animation of Goku.
And we'll put that back on here again.
Yeah, when he's punching, and then like when it goes to the Dragon Ball thing, and then when it switches and stuff like that. That's all thanks to this guy. Like, this guy's holding it down at Toei.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for all of us Dragon Ball nerds.
I think, they actually, we're almost done here, wrapping up. But he originally didn't want to do it. He's like, I'm not going to sign on to do any animation for this unless you do a 2D segment.
Oh, yeah. Oh, really?
That was actually part of his prerequisite to getting it. He's like, look, I don't know how I feel about computer generated films in general, especially with anime and 2D hand-drawn animations. It's a staple. It's a part of history of the animation style, which is one of the reasons why I love it so much. Anime. But he's like, if I do work on this project with you guys, I know you're going to do a lot of computer generated stuff and 3D stuff, but he's like, we need to have at least a nice segment that is hand-drawn. And that was part of the handshake deal to get him to work on this project.
And not only hand-drawn, because every time older Dragon Ball Z things have been reanimated in 30 years, I think they always look like crap. Like the intro to Dragon Ball Kai that was done in that like modern style. It's like, this doesn't look as good as the old school stuff, but this guy likes the old school look.
Yeah,
not even that. He likes the old school look, and he likes the manga design. So thank you, Chikashi Kobuto, like, for holding it down for everybody. I mean, like, giving us this beautiful animation. I look forward to seeing more of it as we go.
You gave us renewed hope for more beautiful animation like that as well, which we are already getting in Dragon Ball Daima. Right before we wrap it up, we just want to say thank you guys for all tuning in this last week.
Yep.
We have a huge turnout. We got 1,000 new subscribers in 1 week. Got over 4,000 views on episode 1.
Welcome new subsubscribers. Thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, please key blast that subscribe button right now.
Ding, ding, ding. Smash that like button.
We're gonna be reacting day of every single episode, all 20 episodes of Dragon Ball Daima. So just stay tuned. We've got other content coming soon. We've got Dragon Ball Sparking Zero video coming out. So stay tuned.
We're watching as well. So check us out. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time on Dragon Ball Daima Pod. All right, sweet.